sit over here.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming today. It's a really special day for the Cleveland Browns and our organization. I'll have to admit, for the organization, Joel, it's a little bittersweet. I think Joel Bitonio embodies everything any team, but particularly the Cleveland Browns, would value. I would argue very strongly that he's a Hall of Fame player. And when you look at what he achieved here, it compares very favorably to names like Jim Brown and Joe Thomas and Lou Groza in terms of quality of play, games played, etc. We're excited for he and Courtney and their three little ones who are over here, all appropriately adorned in 75 jerseys. And they'll have their dad back full time. Their dad is already slimmed down. He said he's not quite as slim as Joe Thomas, but he's headed in that direction. Body feels better, etc. And we're also delighted, at least for a year, Courtney, that and maybe longer, that y'all are going to stay in the Cleveland area. And that'll obviously, you will always be a Cleveland Brown, but it helps when you live here. So we're delighted about that. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't comment and just all of us go through what all Joel accomplished in his career. As you all know, he was a second-round pick out of Nevada 12 years ago and immediately stepped in and started right next to Joe Thomas, between Joe Thomas and Alex Mack. So that was a good place to start, Joel. And early on had an injury, a foot injury, if I remember. And I remember we were debating whether to extend him or not and could he stay healthy or not. And we obviously decided to extend him. And I don't think you ever missed a game again, did you? I'll look at my notes here. 178 career starts in his career. That's up there with Joe Thomas and Jim Brown. Joel made – here's the most impressive thing, and I think you all know the difference. Joel made 5 Pro Bowls, okay? 5 All-Pro teams. Okay, 5 All-Pro teams, and that's different than making the Pro Bowl, okay? When you make the All-Pro team, and twice he made the first team, that means he was one of the best 1 or 2 guards in the whole league. He did that twice. 3 other times he made the second team. He made 7 consecutive Pro Bowl teams, okay? 7 consecutive Pro Bowl teams. The only people to do that in our organization are the names I mentioned earlier, Jim Brown, Joe Thomas, and Lou Groza, okay? He was a model of consistency. I hardly ever remember Joel having a bad game. He did what I think you ask everybody to do in any organization, and that is come to work hard, do your job, be a good team player, go home, spend time with your family, and come back and do it again. And he did that for 12 years. And you know, when players aren't in the building, there's a little bit of a tendency to forget about him. And when he and Courtney and the 3 kids got out of the car today, I thought, dang, I miss that guy, because Joel was so reliable, showed up so often, et cetera. So Joel is going to come up and make a few remarks, but I just want to emphasize I hope we can find more players in the future who are as good of players and as good of people as Joel Bitonio, because he embodies everything we want a Cleveland Brown to do. So with that, we'll introduce Joel Bitonio, number 75 from the University of Nevada. So come on up here, big guy. Got the good haircut, I see.
Yeah. Well, first off, I just appreciate everybody being here. I know it's a little short notice for some people. Surprisingly, it's been in the works for a little while, getting everybody's schedule on page and stuff like that. We, it took us a little while, but I appreciate the kind words, Mr. Haslam. Everything you guys have done for me and my family. It is like family here, and I appreciate that. So I prepared something, so I'm gonna try and read it and try and stay focused. It's just an emotional time because it's what I've done. My whole adult life has been here and been a Cleveland Brown. So it's a big moment. But I'm gonna read some of these words to you guys, and I appreciate you guys being here. When I reflect on my time as a Cleveland Brown, I'm so grateful. I've learned so much. After I was drafted, I had the unique experience of playing left guard in between 10-time Pro Bowl left tackle Joe Thomas and 7-time Pro Bowl center Alex Mack. What a way to learn how to be a pro in the NFL. I saw firsthand their toughness, their ability to play through injuries, the importance of being there for your teammates. I took that with me and did my best to instill that in my teammates later in my career. I sat next to John Greco in meetings. He taught me how to be a pro, take notes the right way, and play guard in the NFL. I was drafted the same year as Johnny Manziel, and we actually roomed together. I learned some things not to do from him. I got the opportunity to play with and learn from so many guys. I learned how to be egoless from Nick Chubb. I learned to always smile like Christian Kirksey. I learned to chief slam from David Njoku. I learned how to be fiery and competitive from Baker. I learned selflessness from all my offensive lineman brethren. There are truly too many to name, and the O-line is just such a special group. But just a special shout out to Mitch Schwartz, Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, Jack Conklin, Kevin Zeitler, and the countless others. It was an honor to share the meeting room and the field with you men. I learned how to be detail-oriented and always show up on game day for your teammates, even if you didn't practice all week or ever, from J.C. Treader. I got to experience Pro Bowls with guys like Jarvis Landry, Denzel Ward, Amari Cooper, Myles Garrett, J.O.K., and Jerry Jeudy. I learned the feeling of pride that comes with representing this organization among the greats of the NFL, and that's a feeling that never got old. I learned about the people behind the scenes who helped get the team ready for Sundays. The people in the building helped make this place so special. Joe, Pat, Steph, and the training staff who would get me from being barely able to get out of my car on a Monday to ready to play on Sundays. Larry Jackson and his strength staff for the countless hours in the weight room, including Dale Jones for going above and beyond the second half of my career to help extend it. We always have our Friday morning lifts. Brad, Corey, Jimmy, and the equipment staff who are always there with any request. The cafeteria staff who kept us fed. The PR staff, including my guy, Murph, who from day one had me ready for any questions the media threw at me. I learned about the Cleveland media, the seriousness of how they approach their jobs. I learned to just answer their questions as honestly as I could, because it ultimately helped make the fans more interested. I learned just how hard it is to win in the NFL and how special the locker room is after those wins. Those are the moments I will never forget. I will always remember our Thursday night win against the Jets to open the fridges. I learned about serving the community. As athletes, we have a platform and have the opportunity to make a real difference for people. Giving back was something that my parents instilled in me. Those interactions with Browns Give Back, A Kid Again, the Cleveland Food Bank meant a lot to the kids and the people who we were able to help. But they also meant a lot to me, too. I encourage everyone to give back. I learned about sacrifice and love from my wife, Courtney, my kids, Zoe, Benny, and Ada. I love you guys so much. Courtney has been on this journey with me since college and was truly the heartbeat of my career. Through the injuries, the wins, the losses, always there, always supportive, and always my biggest fan. I learned how to compete and always try to win, even if it was racing to the car for my brother and sister. I learned true strength and love from my mom. Sometimes love is letting you know you shouldn't have false started in the second quarter. I learned self-belief and hard work from my dad, who never got to see me play a snap in college or the NFL, but was with me every step of the way. He believed in me and my dreams before I knew what they were. He would tell me, "Why not you?" whenever I brought up how hard it was to make it in college or the NFL. So if he's listening right now, I just wanted to let him know we made it. I learned how to be appreciative. Thank you to the Haslam family, to all my teammates, to the coaches, to Andrew Berry, to anyone who believed in me, to the fans who supported us. Thank you to everyone I was able to learn from. I learned to appreciate everyone who helped me on this amazing journey. I learned what an honor and a privilege it is to be able to wear that orange helmet and what this team means to the fans. I learned how hard it is to say goodbye. I had a good idea back in January that this was the end for me, but this place is so special that it was hard to truly say goodbye. I'm so glad I got to learn and be a Cleveland Brown my entire career. Thank you.
Why was it so important for you to stay here, to finish your career here, even through all the losing and the hard times and the coaches and the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I was always appreciative of the team drafting you. I got picked in the second round and I played here. And early in my career, they trusted me, even though I know I was injury. Mr. Haslam, said like there was a question, and I wanted to always prove him right. And by the time we got things rolling, where we made the playoffs and we were having these runs, I was kind of in year 7, 8, 9 in my career, and by that point, like you're so committed, you put in so much work here. I was ready to see it through, and I was ready to see, the ultimate goal was to win a Super Bowl, and that was my goal here. But once you get through it, like for me, I could never just picture myself in a different uniform.
Were there overtures made to you from other teams?
Never anything serious. I know my agent talked to a bunch of teams, during the combine and everything, and people asked if I was interested in continue to play, like what my plan was. But there never got anything where I was telling people I wanted to play for another team.
What made you decide to retire now, Joel?
Well, like I said a little bit earlier, the decision was made. Like me and Andrew Berry had a conversation before free agent. I think we signed like 3 interior linemen on the first day of free agency. So that was kind of like me and AB had already discussed that I was, going to retire, and I was finishing up my career. It was really just the timing of the announcement. I talked to my agent, and he's like, I mean, technically, you don't have to say anything. Like you're retired, and he's like, I've been playing football for 23 years of my life, and here for 12 years, and you just want to make sure it's done. I never wanted to be the guy that was like, all right, I'm done playing, but now I want to go make another run at it and come back and unretire. And so for me, it was just, hey, we want to have a finite decision. But we were in constant communication with the team, and I appreciate them understanding. And, I'm sure AB had to answer a few questions where he knew the answer to, but I appreciate that.
Football's been your life. I mean, even the last college, now the last 12 years. Have you thought about what the next chapter is? I mean, what the next chapter holds for you? What you want to do?
Not exactly. I mean, spend some time with the family. They are ready and eager, and be there for them. Enjoy some of the holidays. You don't get. You miss Thanksgiving. Parts of Thanksgiving and Christmas and those things. I think all that stuff will be very cool. But for me, on like a professional level, I haven't really dove into exactly what I want to do.
When the Browns finally made the playoffs with you playing, there was the COVID game.
Yeah.
And you had to miss the Pittsburgh game. You had to sweat that out for them to win to see your first playoff game. What was that game like for you watching it?
Yeah, it was. Well, thank goodness it was a rout. Like the Browns kicked some butt. After the first snap, I was just like, all right, we got a chance here. You don't know. I mean, we're missing Denzel. Like there was a lot of guys that were out. Coach Stefanski, And so, but being a fan is brutal. I was definitely sweating, and I was it was unbelievable though. My neighborhood like knew I was at home, and they started lighting off fireworks after the game, and they threw like a little parade down the street. So it was an unbelievable experience because we got the win. I think it would have been heart-wrenching if you're sitting there and the team loses.
Joel, you said in that letter you wrote this morning that you'd never been here before they drafted you, right? You didn't come out and visit. So why do you think you made such a connection with this community and this fan base? And I think as quickly as you did with them throughout your 12 years.
Yeah, I am from Southern California, but I think if you look at my background and family, like it's based off of like blue collar, hard work. And I think at heart, like there's some Midwest in there, you know what I mean? And you come to Cleveland and the people here, accept you. And like I said, I got to play next to Joe and Alex and Greg and Schwartz. And they just showed me what it was like to be a pro. And I think I wanted to throw myself in it 100%. And I was committed, and I was like, hey, I want to be the best version of myself, which is hopefully in turn going to help the team. And so that was really kind of my mindset. And then, once you connect with the community and you have all your kids here and they go to school and you're part of it, and so you're rooting for it too. And we'll always be fans, of the Browns and the community and the people, our neighbors. Like, it's just a special place for us.
What do you think you'll miss most about being a Browns player?
Oh, gosh. I think it's the people. Like, you walk in the building, and I've been here with – like players come and go, right? But they're the people in there at the locker room. The celebrations after the wins there's nothing, because you put so much work and you only have 17 opportunities a year. And so every time we got a win, I celebrated fully because I went so long at parts of my career where we weren't winning consistently. But it's the people you work with, the training staff, the strength staff, the EQ staff. Like the heads of those departments were interns when I got here, and now they're running the departments. And so I feel like we grew up together, and like those are your people that you see on a daily basis, and they know the work that goes behind it. Like there was times where it was like, I'm not walking on Monday and Tuesday, and it's like, are we going to find a way to play? And you have to have those people that you connect with, and that help push you through those moments.
You talked so much over your career about just Joe, what he's meant to you, how he passed things on to you, and others who have passed things on to you. I know it's a lot of young, a lot of new on this roster, but as you sort of leave, what's maybe the thing that you hope you left your mark on for the sort of new generation of players that are coming in?
I think just consistency, like being who you are each and every day. And it's a business, right? Like the NFL is such a business, but I think if you peel it back and you're the best version of yourself and you give everything you can in the moment every day, and you have a bunch of guys that want to do that, like it builds up the culture and it builds up what the team is and who they want to be. And so if people just see that, like, hey, that guy came to work, win or loss, like he was who he is, and he put in the work and was ready on Sundays to give his best. To me, like, I think that's how you build a culture of winning.
How were you able to maintain such a positive attitude week in, week out, year in, year out, through all the losing? I mean, I remember Joe Thomas saying that it really got to him emotionally, but you just were, you just seemed like you were always there with a smile on your face, and you kept the locker room up and the fans up and gave everyone some hope. How did you do that?
Yeah, losing is not easy. Like, everybody plays the game to win the game, but I feel like I woke up in the mornings and I was like, I'm playing in the National Football League, for the Cleveland Browns, and I get to go to work, and I'm healthy, and I'm playing in these games. And so that was special. It was just a moment. It's like what you dream of as a kid, and you're living your dream. And, like, I do think positive vibes are contagious, right? Like, if you're a positive person, like, hopefully that rubs off on some people. But to me, it was like I was living a dream every day that I got to come in this building and be a part of it. And the ultimate goal was to try and, lift a Super Bowl. And that's why I tell people, like, the best moments were going to those playoffs because we were getting closer. And you wanted more of those moments. But, like, those wins and those locker rooms made up for all the tough days you had.
I want to speak for the group for a second and say we appreciate all the times in the quiet, empty locker room that you stayed and answered questions. And I think one in particular, the walk back to the press box in New Orleans in '24, we're like, this guy can't ever retire. we need it. But is that something that came natural to you, and why was it important for you to always step up and do that?
Yeah, I think for me, our PR team, Dan, included, PJB, always made it a point, like, it's your guys' job to obviously tell a story about what happened. It's our job to give you guys the information to help write that story. But if we can control the narrative in the sense of, hey, I was out there, I experienced it, I played the game, and if there is something I need to take blame for, I can. You know what I mean? And I'm not passing blame to anybody else. And it's with this Twitter and Instagram world, the longer you take not to answer a question, the more it goes. I mean, even just like in this retirement, like there's crazy stories about if I'm going to play somewhere or not, and we just kind of kept it quiet. But there's just so many moments where I played in the game. I'm a captain of this team. Like I can talk to the media and I can answer the questions.
So thinking about the last 2 years in particular, I know you had like some nagging injuries going on in the back in particular that we talk to you about all the time. But through that and the combined 8 wins over those 2 years, how important was it for you to play in all those games that you did, and is that something you look back on without regret now?
Yeah, there was never a regret in a game I played in, but I wanted to be there. There was a couple times, especially I think this last year, where it was close, and I was uncertain, but I was like, I'm at a point now, like I'm out there. I can move a little bit, and it might have been the wrong mindset for me, but like I was like, Joel being out there at 70% or 60% is like good enough for me, and I'm going to go out there and try and compete. And so that was kind of my mindset. And the win-loss thing, like, never had it was always just a personal opinion. And I talked to the training staff about it. I was like, we make decisions on Monday if we're going to play or not. And it's not true, but it's just the mindset you have, right? You walk in, they're like, hey, this is what you got going on. And it's like, all right, well, I got to figure out a way to play. And so that's the mindset switches when you walk in the door on Monday. And I just always tried to have that mindset. But the win-losses to me, it was just, that's who I am as a person. Like, you can't change who you are, winning or losing. And that's kind of just the way I stuck through it.
Joel, Jimmy and Andrew and Joe Thomas have all mentioned you with the Hall of Fame. Like, how do you view your candidacy and how important was that to you?
I mean, it'd be unbelievably important. It's like the pinnacle of like the individual achievement of a football player. I never had a goal to be like a gold jacket guy. I just wanted to go out and be the best I could. It's my like yearly appointment that there's not enough guards and centers in the Hall of Fame. I think if you look at it, there's so many elite players, and if you look at Pro Bowls and All Pros compared to quarterbacks, I know there's difference importance on positions, but receivers, tight ends, like any other position group, if you look at the actual accolades of players, like there needs to be more guards and centers in the Hall of Fame. And so I think that's a barrier, just being a guard. But I think if you want to look at consistency and you want to look at longevity and the history of the franchise and some of the names that Mr. Haslam mentioned today, I'm proud of my career. And I would love, like I said, to be in the Hall of Fame someday, but I don't need it to like any personal thing like that. I'm happy with what I've done, and I'm proud of that.
Joel, you played with 24 different quarterbacks. It's even more than Joe did. For any particular reason, is there a favorite that you'll remember?
Oh, gosh. In the moments, I mean, it was great. Like, my rookie year having Hoyer back there, like, that was a heck of a run when we were, 7-4. And I didn't know any better, but I was just like, all right, this is the NFL. Like, we're flying around. Let's do this. That was great. Obviously, Josh McCown was just, like, so wise when he was fun to play with him. Baker obviously changed our trajectory of our franchise there and, like, led us to the playoffs, and that was unbelievable. And that letter, that was, some of the coolest moments of my career is that season, even though it was COVID, but making that run was awesome. And then, you bring in Joe Flacco. You hear these stories, you play against him a bunch of times, and then you meet him as a person. You're like, all right, this guy's a pretty cool guy. And so, I mean, you take something from everybody you play with, right? But I think those were kind of like just certain points in the career when we were winning the most games, and that's when the best memories usually come from.
Family, you mentioned it a couple of times, so I want to just ask you, like, when you're making your decision, how much of it was it about, like, it's the right time for you, but also for Courtney and the kids?
Yeah, I mean, Courtney's so supportive, and I'm sure she would tell you she wants me at home more, But I guarantee if I was like, hey, I wanted to play another season, like she would be 100% supportive of that decision. But it's great. I mean, I don't have to tell the kids I can't wrestle because my back's hurting or something like that. So we should have some more free time. But it's a part of it. But truthfully, the decision came down to like my body. Am I going to be able to prep the way I wanted to prep to be able to perform at the level I wanted to perform at?
What would you have done if you didn't play football?
Gosh. I went to school for economics, but I don't know. I might have like coached if I had just played in college. I enjoy the game. Like I love, football and the scheme and all that stuff. But I didn't have a right away backup plan. I did some architectural stuff in high school that I really enjoyed. Nevada did not have an architecture program, but yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting.
What do you think the next couple months are going to be like, knowing you don't have to prepare for a training camp and rigors of the season?
I think I was, telling my wife the other day that like it still kind of feels like an off season right now. Like I've still been working. I'm obviously not training as much, not at mini camp right now, but I think when training camp starts is going to be the real moment. Like, okay, I'm retired from this, because that's when, so end of July, August, September, when everything really cranks up. So we'll see how it feels. I'm sure there's emotions going in there. I tell you what, like the stress of getting ready for a game and wanting to perform at your best, I don't know if I'll miss that. Even going into year 12, like every night before the game, you're stressed about your assignment, and as an offensive lineman, like you're protecting people out there, and so you want to play your best and be the best version of yourself.
Obviously, we'll all share our memories of you or whatever, but just in your own words, how would you like to be remembered?
Yeah. Just I poured myself into it. I was, 100% committed to this team and this organization, and I truly always wanted to be the best version of myself to help make the team as good as we could be. And that's what I pushed for. And that's what, I hope people remember. This guy was tough. He was going to be out there. He was going to fight for his teammates, and was just a consistent guy.
It's a really tough act to try to follow Joe Thomas, just in terms of voice of the team, face of the team, spokesperson, anchor of the line, and all of those things. Did you feel a tremendous amount of responsibility when Joe passed you that torch, and how do you feel like you handled it?
It was. I mean, Joe Thomas is obviously, like, if not one of the best left tackles in the game. So Andy was a great leader and a great spokesperson. I think it helped me because I saw him do it at such a high level that I was like, all right, I got to, step into those. And I would never, compare myself to what he did. But just step in and be like, all right, someone needs to do that for the team and kind of be a part of it. So it was never a pressure thing, but I did think it helped and kind of showed a way of how even if the season doesn't go great, you can still be a professional and, handle your job.
When you had those injuries early in your career, 2 straight years ending on IR, did you ever kind of wonder like what this would be, and then did it make it more meaningful kind of to have that Iron Man streak?
Yeah, and I had really never been injured in my career. Like I never missed any college games or any high school games. So I was like, when I was missing games, I was like, this is weird, and I was playing next to Joe Thomas, who never missed games, Alex Mack, who for a majority of his career had not missed games. And so I was like, man, this is weird. In the back of my mind, I always like, it's unlucky. Like I got rolled up on twice and I got stepped on. Like that's how my injuries occurred. But at some point, like in the back of your mind, you're like, is this part of it? What do I need to do differently? And I think once we got on a roll there and it was like 7 years without missing a snap, I was like, all right, I think there is some luck to this, part of it. And I'm just going to go out there and do a thing. But I definitely was questioning a little bit of like injury luck and what was going on. But I think the Browns also having confidence in me and still extending me and being in that position to be like, we want this guy around, gave me some confidence as well.
You mentioned that your agent fielded some calls from other teams, and you mentioned your conversations with Andrew where you kind of made your intentions known. Did you have any conversations with Todd, George Warhop, and if so, how much did they try to sell you on coming back? What was their sort of pitch to you?
Yeah, I went up and met him because I was rehabbing my elbow. I had a little elbow cleanup, and I was rehabbing my elbow. So when they got hired, I went up there. I mean, I know Coach Monken from when he coached here, obviously, and then I've only heard good things about George Warhop, like from Joe and Alex and Mitch. Like they all love him as an O-line coach. And so I went up and talked to him, and they were pretty clear. They're like, hey, we want you back if you want to play football. So it was very cut and dry, but like they were like, yes, he's like, we want you in the room if you can do it. And Coach Monken talked about the Baltimore game where I chased down that interception, and he's like, even though you guys were losing and stuff, and he's just like, we want those type of people, in the building. And so it was just a open communication of hey, like we would like you back if you want to keep playing. But it was definitely, they understood, where I was coming from on my decision.
Joel, is there a specific opposing player that you've gone against that maybe you're going to remember most?
I mean, you think about like the AFC North guys, right? Like Cam Hayward, he was probably in year 3 when I got in the league, and he's still playing football. So like we battled over 20 times, and he predominantly lines up over the left guard, left tackle. So that's one. I mean, early in my career, Geno Atkins was a headache. Like, Aaron Donald is in a class of his own, but Geno Atkins was like the mini version of that, and he was unbelievable. So I think those two from like a North comparison would be the two.
Sticking around here for a year, I think, says a lot about how you feel about the city of Cleveland and how you, I'm guessing, were embraced here. So
Yeah.
What makes this so special, and how much does this really end up feeling like home to you?
Yeah, it's a big part. 12 years is a long time, right? Like I'm like, all right, I moved out of the house at 17 to go to college. I'm like, I'm almost, at 12, almost there in Cleveland. It's a big part, and part of football is you kind of miss the whole fall and the Christmas time and stuff. And we were like, let's enjoy some time here and be a fan and be a Cleveland person. Like there's, we live in Avon, but like it's just a small town feel, you know what I mean, in that, and you don't get that vibe necessarily back in California all the time. So we wanted to enjoy it, be a fan, be a fan of the Browns, and kind of just see that. But it's a huge part of it. Like I said, we'll always have, this will always be part of our family. Our kids are all born in Cleveland, like, and that's a huge thing. I proposed in Cleveland, so like it's going to be a huge part of our life, and we'll drive by and be like, no, that was our house someday. But no, we're going to enjoy it and try and. I mean, you can't beat this weather last like 2.5 weeks, right? This is like Cali weather. It got humid for minicamp, of course, but.
We'll be weird watching. We're gonna take 2 more. We'll be weird watching Browns games on TV.
Yeah, I think it will be at the start for sure. I think you're going to be like, oh man, I'm used to being out there. I'm used to playing, but I'll be cheering them on.
Around the current guys and this new regime and what they've been doing with minicamp, but just what they're building here, what you're leaving. Team's a lot younger, obviously, on both sides of the ball, and the future obviously looks bright. But what did you see in a player's perspective of this team right now as you depart?
Yeah, I'm still in communication with a lot of the guys, and I think Coach Monken is building that culture. Like you said, there's a lot of young, talented players that are going to step into those leadership roles and keep forming. But I think they're working very hard from what I've heard, what I've seen. Lots of plays in practice, and that's how you get better. Like it's sometimes when you got an old team, it's hard to practice hard. You know what I mean? Like not all the guys are able to. But when you're young, it's like let's run the ball out and get as many reps as you can. So I think they're building that culture, and I have, like I said, I have nothing but respect for the coaching staff, and like none of that was ever part of the decision. It was strictly like a physical thing. But I think there's a culture here. I think the young talent that's been acquired over the last couple of years is impressive, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
We're going to take a couple photos. We'd love to get the family with the photo of Joel.